Election day in the United States has come and gone, and there's no winner, at least not yet. While Joe Biden says he is confident he is on track to win, Donald Trump has gone one step further. He's claimed victory and says he's ready to go to the Supreme Court to challenge that result. Now, millions of ballots are still being counted and races in key swing states are yet to be called. But here's how things stand tonight. Joe Biden has 238 electoral college votes. Donald Trump has 213. Now, 270, as you may know, are needed to claim victory. Key battlegrounds are still up in the air. These include the three states known as the Rust Belt: Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Now, let's bring in...
As the race came down to the wire, the U.S. president made an eagerly awaited appearance at the White House. It soon became apparent he wasn't in the mood to celebrate.
The results tonight have been phenomenal, and we are getting ready. I mean, literally, we were just all set to get outside and just celebrate something that was so beautiful, so good. Such a vote, such a success.
Despite key states not declaring results and millions of mail-in votes still not tallied, Mr. Trump said it's clear he's won and has vowed to take the result to the nation's top court.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election. This is a very big moment. This is a major fraud in our nation. We want the law to be used in a proper manner. So we'll be going to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Mr. Trump spoke shortly after Joe Biden said he was confident of winning once all the votes were counted.
We feel good about where we are. We really do. I'm here to tell you tonight, we believe we're on track to win this election. We knew because of the unprecedented early vote and the mail-in vote that it was going to take a while. It's not my place or Donald Trump's place to declare who's won this election. That's the decision of the American people. But I'm optimistic about this outcome.
Separating both men from the White House, races in key battleground states. But a conclusive result could take a while. 100 million Americans voted early because of the pandemic, and tallying those votes could take days.
It's a normal process. We've never had to count this large number of mail-in ballots and have an in-person election. So we thought that we had timed it right. But truthfully, we've never done it before this.
Despite fears of violence and chaos, voting day was largely smooth. Record-long queues snaked outside polling stations, many observing safe distancing and wearing masks. Exit polls show most people cited the economy as the issue that concerned them the most, while 4 out of 10 thought America's handling of the pandemic was going very badly.
Nina Maria Potts joins us now from Washington, D.C. Nina, first, get us up to speed. We know things in Michigan have come to a bit more of a fruition. Biden in the lead, it seems.
That's absolutely right. A couple of key developments, just even in the last few minutes. Biden does appear to be taking both Wisconsin and Michigan, but by a tiny fraction in Michigan, in a very narrow lead. So it's almost too close to quite call. It's also very tight in Nevada. President Trump is leading in Pennsylvania, but a reminder that not all the votes have been counted, which is, of course, the main bone of contention between Republicans and Democrats. Not much progress to report on the Electoral College front just yet. We're still seeing those same numbers sort of creep up, and it's still pretty tight. One big takeaway from this election, I think, is that Democrats are sounding chastened. They cannot claim the landslide that they were hoping for. So despite the fact that President Trump has claimed victory early, and he wants all voting, or rather all counting, to stop now, and is preparing to legally challenge the results, which we may not get for several days. It's very, very difficult for the Democrats to celebrate anything right now because the race is so tight.
Indeed. Nina, as you mentioned, the president is alleging election fraud, threatening to go to the Supreme Court. Even as the votes are still being counted, are we also seeing a constitutional crisis brewing alongside?
Very possibly, although, I mean, a simpler answer to that is that Americans would just simply like to know who their president is. I mean, they've woken up this morning with a great deal of uncertainty about their political future. So, yes, indeed, we may be facing a constitutional crisis if President Trump decides to take this all the way. Joe Biden wants every vote counted. The Democrats are preparing for a fight. They are insisting, as they should, that the democratic process plays out, but President Trump insisting and repeating these allegations of election fraud with no hard evidence. So it is going to be protracted. I wish I could tell you when we're going to get a result. I fear we don't know. But it could be, if the legal battle does develop, that we might not know for several weeks.
All right, Maria, thanks for that. Nina Maria Potts speaking to us from Washington, D.C. Now let's go for a closer look at the impact of the U.S. election. We're now joined by Professor Kishore Mahbubani, a distinguished fellow at the Asia Research Institute at NUS. Thank you, Professor, for joining us this evening. Firstly, it's a nail-bitingly close race, as we've sort of seen play out throughout the day, between both men. No clear result quite yet, despite Trump calling a victory. Did you expect such a close race between the two camps?
I think nobody did. It's absolutely clear that no one expected this, such a close race. And it's amazing that it can still go either way at this stage. But what it does show is that the United States is a very deeply divided country. And whoever wins this election has got to deal with deep structural challenges that have emerged in American society. One structural challenge is that America has become a plutocracy, so the white working classes are drowning in a sea of despair. And then the second structural challenge is that there are enormous issues of race and identity that are at play in the United States of America. So I think the first challenge for any American president, Trump or Biden, is to try and bring the country together. And frankly, the man who could do a better job of this will be Biden and not Trump.
Well, let's talk a bit more about that, Professor. It's Jill here. How would a Trump win versus a Biden win affect Singapore's ties with the U.S.?
Well, the good news is that Singapore-U.S. ties are in a very good position. I mean, over the years, you know, the United States, after dealing with Singapore for decades, has come to the conclusion that Singapore is a seriously competent country with a seriously competent government. And we've always sent brilliant ambassadors to Washington, D.C., Tomiko, S.R. Nathan, Chan Heng-chi, Ashok Mirpuri. And so I was in Washington last year, and I can tell you, you can feel this tremendous respect for Singapore in Washington, D.C. And as a result of that, I'm reasonably confident that whether Trump wins or Biden wins, Singapore's exceptionally close relations with the United States will continue.
That is indeed good to know, and always good to have you on our show, Professor Kishore Mahbubani, Distinguished Fellow of the Asia Research Institute at NUS. Many thanks.